of coffee Q&A here on the OnoCoffee channel. I'm Jay, your host. And today we're live streaming. And we live stream every day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m., mostly Monday through Friday. Right now we're roasting here in the workshop at Matt's workshop, and roasting up some coffee. Right now I'm roasting up this El Salvador that we're using. It's strictly high grown from Santa Ana. How y'all doing? Peter, good to see you, man. How's everything going? So I just dumped this load here. You can see this load is already in the bin, and now we're going to start the next one. Right now we're using 11-pound batches. This is a decent W6A roaster that will hold upwards of 6 kilos. We've been testing out batch loads a little bit larger. Did a batch load earlier today, this one, that was 18 pounds, so above 6 kilos. And we're going to do another round of that in a little bit. All right, so here we go. We're going to, oh gosh. All this talking, the temperature has increased. Turn down the flame a little bit. How y'all doing today? If you have questions as we go along, feel free to ask them. But I just thought I'd share with you a little roasting since I needed to do some roasting today. So right now this batch that just dropped before we started the show is in the cooling tray. The ideal temperature or the ideal time in the cooling tray is 4 minutes. You want it to cool down within 4 minutes so that you can hold it like that. So that's pretty much ready to go. And now we're going to start. I think we're at 470. It says 478. The temperature can be a little bit wonky, but we're just going to start now. Like I said, good morning, Mom. I'm just going to open this. Coffee's going to fall in. Here you can kind of see it. You can see it all now in here. I'm going to start the timer. And I don't know what time it is. One of the problems with live streaming in this manner with the phone is that the phone is really my only source of telling the time. So, and what I do is here's an older sheet that's already finished. So what I typically record will be, of course, what kind of coffee we're roasting, right? And then the start time, so batch number, start time. The start time is actually the time of day that we're starting. So like at this particular roast day, we started roasting at 1 p.m. How much is in the batch that we're roasting? What is the charge temperature? And then if we can record turn time, time for yellow, first crack, second crack. But really, I don't normally, as you can see, I don't normally record those. Once we get rolling, it's kind of like, I don't necessarily worry too much. I'll check them personally as we're roasting to see if we're kind of on the pace that I'd like to see it at. But otherwise, I don't really necessarily record that. On the other roaster at Spro, we would have a computer system. Darwin, how are you, man? Good to see you. We would have the computer system, and the computer system would actually record all of that. Each batch would get its own graph, so if we ever needed to go back to see what was happening in that roast at any particular time, we could go back. But here it's a little bit different. And other people's facilities are always really different. This particular roasting was done at my friend Sarah's facility, a place called Vint Coffee Roasters in Baltimore. And as you can see, we have the drop time. So with the drop time, unlike the start time, which is the actual time of day, drop time for me is how long did this roast take? So we try to be exactly to the seconds, because seconds do matter when you're roasting. So in this particular case, we started 2 minutes 22 seconds ago, and we're looking for and then what else are we recording? The drop time, drop temperature. We want to know the drop temperature. Each roaster can be quite different as far as the temperature ranges that you're working in. There are some general guidelines that you kind of work within on most roasters, but it does fluctuate depending on the roaster. And then typically, sometimes we'll record the finish weight of each batch and then calculate the loss percentage. And that just kind of tells us, with loss percentage, how much coffee or how much moisture has evaporated during the roasting process, and certain coffees we expect to have certain amounts of loss, weight loss, moisture loss, and we just want to know are we staying within those general parameters, right? If let's say a roast that normally has 14% weight loss suddenly has 16, 17, 18%, then we need to look and see what could be wrong with that batch, or what are we doing wrong at that moment in time. So that's pretty much it. And then there's also a section here for notes, so in case there's any kind of, like in this particular one, I said that on batch number 6, I said flame on at 8 minutes 45 seconds, so I don't know what that meant. Oh, and then we look back here, we can look here. Oh yeah, this is probably here. So this drop time, 17 minutes 15 seconds for total roast time. So I've dropped the load in. This is what definitely happened. I dropped the load in, hit the timer, or the timer on this particular roaster, the timer automatically starts. But I didn't turn the flame on. So I didn't turn the flame on until 8 minutes 45 seconds. We have a total of 17 minutes 15 seconds. So that roast took about 9 minutes or so. Naomi says, we're watching, yes, we are watching me roast the beans, and this is, right now we're roasting the house coffee, which we're using a El Salvadorian coffee for it. And in the roast, so everything that's in the hopper, in the cooling tray, in the roaster, and now going into the hopper, the bean hopper, is what we're using for the house coffee. And then, so we got that. Now this is fully cooled down now, so we're going to dump it out and put it into the bucket, or into the container that we keep the coffee in. The nice thing about these cooling trays, I can reorient the tray so that it can swivel around and spins in any direction. Also, what we look for is we also look to pull out any of these under roasted coffees, Quakers or whatever, low density stuff. And then now we just kind of let it out. So pretty much what we're doing here today is pretty much what most every roaster that you may be familiar with will do on a regular basis. Just roast and, yeah, this is it, not generally glamorous. But, so right now when the roast is coming along, you can see that we're getting some yellowing. It's starting to change color. I'll show you that color change. See that it's a little bit kind of this tannish looking color. We're kind of close to the color range of what would be considered Arabic coffee. Of course, when they roast Arabic coffee, it's a lot slower of a process. It's not a 6-minute roast. I think the Arabic guys actually take like a good 18 minutes to get to this point. Yeah, it's slightly darker than the last one. All right. Now, some of the things to think about for roasting is that we're starting off, of course, with coffee in the green state. Right? This is the natural processed coffee as we receive it here in the United States at roasters. We receive the coffee in this form. Hopefully it's in good condition. And as you can see, this particular coffee is very clean looking, right? It's a very clean coffee, uniform size, uniform color. This is a washed, strictly high-grown European prep coffee from Santa Ana, El Salvador. But as you can see, it's very uniform in shape, size, and color. It should have a very clean green kind of smell, and it does. When you have other coffees like natural coffees, they can have different flavor aromas because of the natural processing. And actually, I have some naturals. I'll show you in a little while. We'll go over that. But this is the natural state. And what you want is you want coffee that's going to be clean and even looking like this. Now you can see there's a little bit of there's this one variation. It just so happens that I picked up what's called a pea berry. The one in the front here is a pea berry here. And a pea berry is basically a coffee bean has a coffee fruit has two beans. So this would normally be encased in a coffee cherry. The pea berries when they only have one in the cherry. So it's kind of now we're getting, you might be able to hear this cracking. There is a cracking going on. If you can hear that. If you can hear that cracking, this is what's known as first crack. At least I hope it's first crack. But having times it has gotten away from me. So first crack, we're at this kind of color. Oh, let's see if that just cracked there. This kind of color profile. This is the point where a lot of roasters, modern day specialty roasters, will pull their coffee. They're going to wait. Some of them will pull it during first crack. Some will pull it at the very end of first crack. For this particular coffee, our house coffee, I want it to stretch a little bit longer. So what I like to do is I wait to the end of first crack, maybe roll it about another 20 seconds until we reach the right color profile, and then drop. So we're getting closer to the end. Normally, if you want to think of temperature-wise, it's about 420 Fahrenheit. We're right now at 9 minutes 50 seconds. So still, you can still hear it. We're still at the first crack. What's going on, man? Oh, you brought some? Oh, nice.
You still loading it to?
No, these are this one and that one. The second were 11 grams, 11 pounds. This one here. We'll go back and see how that works. So the second crack is rolling down, but I think we're getting close to the color that I like. So now we're going to turn the fan on. Okay, so there it is. There's our load. And we're going to go so we dropped it at 442 Fahrenheit, which is, on certain ones, it's a little bit high, but, we just kind of roll with it, right? Depending on where you start to how you roll through it and then how you end. I tend not to worry too much about that, but this one we're going to, because we're using a large, these two have been, this is 11 pounds green. We're going to go up to 18 pounds again, which should give us to see how well the roaster roasts. The first batch we did was 18, so it took a little bit longer, but I think now that the roaster has warmed up after several batches, it should perform a little bit better. And just want to see what will happen. So we're going to roast them up 18 pounds, which is beyond the maximum rating of the roaster. Now, one of the things also we're looking for in the roast here is we're looking to see we always want to check uniformity of the coffee roast. Right? Are there beans that need to be pulled out? So if we see light colored beans that are uneven, we'll pull those out. Those could be different beans of different density, or they could have been caught somewhere in the mechanics of the drum. Somewhere there's little nooks and crevices that they will get stuck in. Okay, 470. Turn up the gas to full blast. I'm going to put it at 475. Now we're going to put the coffee in. As you can see, it's coming here. Like I said about the coffee getting stuck, you see these, some of them are black, so we get rid of those too. Those are coffees that would have gotten somehow left behind from previous roasts, so they continue to roast and just become black. And here's Matt. What's going on, Matt? Matt has brewed some of the first batch of this coffee into fellow Aiden. How do you like the Aiden?
Still love it.
Yeah?
Even the wife who was like, we didn't need another coffee brewer, is liking it.
Oh.
I think, she won't say it, but I think a lot more than her old one.
Oh. You had the Bosch before, right?
Yeah. So, but I mean, like, I love this. It's just, because this will stay hot for like, four or 5 hours.
So worth the $365?
Yeah. If you brew just drip coffee at your house, I think it's worth it because I notice a significantly higher level of
Really?
like quality.
Like you're noticing your coffees are brewing better?
Better than in
other
just like a Mr. Coffee.
Yeah. Oh.
Like this to me, the stuff out of the Aiden to me tastes, I think, even better than like hand poured.
Now, are you using the bigger brew basket, the flat basket?
Yeah.
Have you used the cone basket?
I have not.
Well, this tastes like genius. No, how does it really taste? What do you think? What's your honest opinion?
It's still too hot for me to get a good,
All right.
you know.
What's safety put on there?
It won't hurt. You want some deer bologna?
Sorry?
Deer
Oh,
bologna.
deer bologna. So Matt does a lot of hunting, and this is your bologna, right?
Yeah, I didn't bring a knife.
Yeah, that's fine. We're not worried about tetanus. So when was this beer taken?
This year.
Oh, this year.
Yeah, this is the sweet.
The first one?
Yeah.
This is the first. This is like 3 weeks ago.
No, like a month ago. Yeah. This is sweeter.
This is the sweet. Okay, so this deer came from this land, and I don't mean like from this land like this planet. I mean like this land within 100 yards of where we're standing. So this is truly local food.
Local charcuterie.
Local charcuterie.
Ah.
Oh.
This one isn't my favorite. It's too sweet for me.
It's very sweet.
Very sweet.
It's like that. What was that bologna we had?
Lebanon.
The Lebanon bologna. Evidently, I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about Lebanon bologna. There's another one that's more sour. Do you know how you put that? No.
I have not.
So, deer bologna. So what is it? You take the deer to the butcher, to the slaughterhouse. Slaughterhouse, butcher, what is it called?
Butcher. Well, processor.
And then you've already eviscerated the deer.
I've already killed it. I've already gutted it. Field dress. Drop it off. They butcher it.
You leave the skin on. They take the skin.
Yep.
And they give you cut as well as sausage.
They'll make anything for you. Beef. Well, yeah, beef jerky. Jerky. Snack sticks. Breakfast sausage. Oh, we should make breakfast sausage.
Oh.
I have a bunch in here. Bologna.
Nice.
Yeah, this one isn't my favorite. I don't tend to like sweet things like that, but.
Why'd you get the sweet then?
Huh?
Why'd you order sweet?
Just
try it.
I always order like.
Oh, okay.
Because my mom and dad love this stuff. I gave my mom and dad like 25 rolls.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I still got this. I can barely close it.
Oh, the fridge. All right, how's our house? All right, let's the roast. The roast. Now, one thing about this roast, because we're going larger than, well, let me actually. Oh, here we go. Naomi says that, what are the tasting notes for your house blend? The house blend is really meant to be the coffee that's very approachable to most people. Kind of chocolate notes, good nuttiness, just good body, just a really friendly and approachable type of coffee. And that's the kind of coffees I usually select for this. And select a roast profile that is not too light, but definitely not dark. Like, I don't like to go to dark roast coffees. So basically, if you go back to the food market and you get their brewed coffee, that is this very coffee. And Malcolm says, watch someone sell 10-ounce bags of only pea berries. Oh yeah. I mean, I think pea berries is something. What, pea berry is only what, 1% of the crop? Is that right, Bernard? Have you heard of that statistic?
What?
Pea berry is 1% of the crop.
I don't know that.
Huh.
I've been on there a few times. I do enjoy it though.
Okay. Is first crack a light roast? Yes. It is a light roast. This is a medium roast. This is what we call almost, this color here is what we would call city. Yeah, this is more of a city roast. A little bit darker than this, we would consider to be full city. Okay, this is cooled down now. One of the things about this particular roast that we're doing, you can see here in the window, it's yellowing, right? It's at a yellow phase. I think we're before that tan phase we looked at the last time. Yeah, we're still in the yellowingness. However, the yellow is happening at about 7 minutes, which is a little bit on the slow side.
You got it on full blast?
I got it running full blast. So I'm going to pull these other ones out. Like I said, you always want to watch for off-colored beans. See this one? Oh, that's another coffee.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, now it's getting warm.
Yeah. You know, drinking this right after the roast, I can always taste, I'm not going to say a harshness, but like a, I don't know if it's the gas. You know when you let it sit for like a week, how it's like way better?
Oh, yes.
It's not like it's bad, but it's like a bite, I guess you would say. You know what I mean?
I can definitely taste that.
Like a rah!
Yes.
Like I want to drink this somewhere and be like, that's bad coffee. But like, yeah.
It's got a little bit of an edge to it.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I would totally agree with that. So what, we have some questions. What makes pea berry good or bad? So pea berry is just a condition of the bean. So the pea berry that I showed you that's in here now roasting is just a small percentage of the total production or total output of any farm. And these guys will sort those out. Ideally, I mean, the theory is that instead of the fruit, instead of all the energy of the fruit going into two separate beans, all the energy of that fruit goes into one bean now. Is it really much better than the regular? I don't know. It's definitely a unique product. It's definitely something that people like to sell at a higher markup, and I think the higher markup is justified in the fact that it's such a small percentage of the production. You only get them, you have to go through so much effort to pick them out. Is it better than the regular crop? I don't know. the marketing side of me wants to say yes. Oh man, I feel like the heat is now coming from behind.
Oh yeah.
Like on my back now. Like,
Oh, it's
where's this heat
it's
coming
cranking.
And how many belongs you put in there?
I usually just load it and then
Oh, okay.
it stays good for the rest of the day now.
Oh, nice.
Like if that dies down, even tonight, if I come in here, it'll be like 70 something.
Oh wow. Yeah, we've got this. Matt's got this big Easter Island looking.
Yotul.
What? Oh, Jotul. Jotul. There we go, Jotul. Nice. It's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
I saw one of these on Facebook Marketplace recently.
They go in waves because they get trendy,
Mm-hmm.
and people will sell these for like $1,500.
Okay.
And then, like, I got this for 25.
Oh wow. Yeah, the one that I saw was like $150.
That's good.
That's good. That's good. That sounds good. Okay, now you might be able to hear this. There's some cracking going on. We're just starting to get our first crack happening. Let me ask. I don't know cities. Is this current one a medium or medium dark? Oh, this is. These are all going to be mediums. Mediums. I don't really. There's very rarely do I roast medium dark. We do have a coffee called the not the Pro Negra, but the Night Watch, and the Night Watch is designed to be a what do you call that? A darker roast. Okay, so here's first crack. I'm going to show you first crack. This is where a lot of roasters will stop, and this color fades. We're going to let it roll a little bit longer. We're 12 minutes 17 seconds. So the roast, because it's so much more coffee than normal, the roast is a little bit elongated. That's not necessarily problematic. It all depends on how you apply the heat and how you manage it. No, you ask all the questions you want. That's what we're here for. Remember, this is the coffee Q&A, so coffee questions, hopefully we'll have answers, but they're more than welcome. So like in this case, I just dropped one, right? I just dropped a bean in here. Instead of trying to put it back in, I just gotta toss it out. That way it doesn't affect the flavor. Because that one bean in a big batch of 18 pounds is inconsequential probably. However, we're not making 18 pounds of coffee at one time. We're gonna be making it, 24 grams at a time, or 256 grams at a time. And that one little bean could be in your cup and could offset the flavor. And that's what we want to avoid. Wow, man, it is roasting in this place. I'm roasting. The coffee's roasting. I'm roasting. Fire's burning. All right, we're almost there. We are. That's good. Whoa. Oh, so now you can see it all kind of came out. And, I guess maybe can you see both of those? Okay, so this is the new batch. This is the one that we finished before. So it's all a question of, are you able to offer, are you able, the difficult part is not roasting the coffee, right? The roasting of the coffee is very simple. What you want to do is, the difficult part is to roast it consistently batch to batch, right? Are we able to get consistent color and flavor out of the coffee? Over time, that is really the key. The idea of putting coffee in a machine and adding heat to it to make it roasted is very, very simple. Anybody can do it. The hard part is actually making it taste good. And Naomi's asking, so you take apple for, yes, this one you want to stop before second crack. We don't really really do many roasts that are into second crack. We want to kind of drop it before second crack. And a lot of it, for me, is you'll see if you, I don't know if people show this on the. I don't even know if people do YouTube about coffee roasting, but you'll see a lot of people talk about curves and times and all this kind of stuff, as well as different quantifiable points, and then they're going to it has to it's like with coffee brewing, and everyone talks about 18 grams in, 36 grams out. They'll probably describe roasting in similar terms, but I don't. I'm just okay, we have parameters that we're looking for, but we need to, hopefully we understand how to do the process without being too dogmatic in what we're doing. And I'm actually losing my train of thought only because I realize that I have to prepare more coffee because I don't have any more coffee lined up since we've been chatting and eating sausages. Okay, so here's our bucket. We got our scale, and we need to do. Okay, we'll do one more roast of the house coffee. How much is in here? £12.627. Okay, well, 12.627 pounds. Okay, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna reheat I kept the drum open by using the stick to hold it open. That way it can modulate the heat being applied to the drum. I don't want it to overheat, especially since we're not rolling back up to 18 grams. I'm kind of wondering, will this even fit in the, will I overflow the trash can? Okay, so we're rolling at 429. Okay, here we go. Let's do that. Okay, there we go. We got that rolling. Everything is rolling, and I am burning up in here. Holy crap. So Nirma's asking, how do you know when second crack is going to happen? So second crack happens. So depending on the roaster and depending on a number of other factors, right? Let's say, and everybody, and I know a lot of roasters will calculate this different than I do, and I calculate it this way because this is kind of how I learned, or more, not necessarily how I learned, but more how I kind of figured it out. And so when I really started to roast a lot, regularly, I got this roaster, the one that you've seen on at the old roastery, and one of my mentors, Marty Curtis, he came down to help me install it and set it up, and he was like, hey man, I was like, hey, we set it up, and I was like, it's a really old school roaster that just has an analog exhaust temperature gauge. And I was like, hey Marty, what about putting a digital temperature probe like this in so I can get a graph and see everything visually? And he's like, Bud, you need to learn how to do all this. You need to learn how to roast manually first. I was like, manually? What are you talking about, man? Everybody has these gauges. You have all these gauges. Yeah, but you got to learn how to do it. He said, so in a year's time, I'll come back and we'll fix it and we'll install it. And I was like, all right, that's fine. I was like, okay, whatever, challenge accepted. And so I learned how to roast using just an analog exhaust temperature gauge, not the bean probe that you see here that sits in the bed of beans, measuring the temperature of the beans as they increase. But that also meant that, does it mean you're hampered? I don't think it means you're hampered. What it means is that you just need to use more of your senses, sight, hearing, smelling, and then eventually when you cup the coffees, tasting them to understand your roast more. And the more you do that, the more you understand roasting. And so by doing that for many years, and actually I did that for like 8 years. So what I thought was going to be a year turned out to be 8. And I didn't actually get a temperature probe for that roaster until 2016. So we were well into roasting, and so I really learned to roast by feel and sense. So how do you know when second crack? So what I mean by all this is that, first crack will happen, and let's say first crack happens around 9 minutes. So ideally you kind of have these waypoints that you're trying to see if the coffee will conform to. You start your roast, you apply the heat. Well, what's happening there is you're taking the green coffee and you are, before I continue on, let me prepare some more coffee so that we won't be caught. Now in this particular case, now we're moving to the espresso. And the espresso is actually, and I'm going to show you the blend here. The espresso is a blend of coffees. Now we're going to use the same coffee as we're using here, the El Salvador strictly high-grown Santa Ana European prep, which gives us the chocolate, the body, the nuttiness. We're going to take it and mix it with this Honduran coffee that I have, that I sourced from Efraim Reyes in Comayagua. And as you can see, comparatively to the green, but comparatively to the washed, okay? Here are the two coffees. This coffee is the Salvador washed coffee. This is the natural. You can see the natural has a little bit of a tanner color. The tanner color is for two reasons. You're going to see it here. You could probably see some like reddish stuff on it. Like this particular bean here has some reddish on it. Those are the fruits that are sticking to the seed from the chaff, that's the sugars that are left, the sweetness, the fruitiness, those are left kind of on the bean, and it has a different aroma. It has more of a fruity kind of aroma to it because of the natural process. Now, in this particular case, we're using a mixture. In this particular case, with these specific coffees, the formulation actually changes depending on the coffees that are available to me, and so the actual ratio formula changes throughout the year. But at this very moment, we're using 70%, more or less 70% washed with 30% natural, and the natural is giving us a little bit of fruitiness and a little bit of fruity tones, a little bit of high notes, really kind of interesting. And so, yeah, Naomi says, my current favorite espresso. So that's where it gets. So this is where this coffee, the coffee that you're drinking at home, Naomi, is this coffee, this exact coffee, because it's still in that cycle of that blend. So what we're going to do now is take a mix. We're going to do 11 pounds. Make sure that our bucket is paired. And then, like I said, it's only a rough 70-30. The actual recipe between the two, in this particular batch, is 8 pounds of washed with 3 pounds of the natural. now we've got that ready. Now, as you notice, I just put them in a bucket. I'm not really worried about mixing them together because the process of roasting in the roaster being constantly turned over for 10 minutes or so fully homogenizes the blend. Okay, so this is fully cooled. Right, that's fully cooled, so now we can put it into here. Oh my gosh, I gotta open the door. This is crazy. I gotta open the door because I'm gonna be getting naked soon. It's so hot. So as you can see, it's coming out now, and it's blending well with the coffee. Oh, as always, gotta watch out for these. Everybody's asking, where can I buy onion online? Well, I mean, we eventually will be selling some. We're going to give them some beans at the food market, so it can be local to you. We're still working on the packaging. Coffee Cove says, I'm a little bit late. What coffee did you pair with the deer sausage? Oh, just our house blend, the house nation, with the deer sausage. And there's still more. Now we're getting some cracking. So we're in our first crack. Okay, that's done. So you can see there's kind of first crack. You don't normally pull them out like this. You just pull enough to inspect it, right? Just like that. So we're 10 minutes. So a lot of times when I'm roasting, I'm actually also paying attention to the temperature. Today I'm not because I'm talking a lot, so normally I develop a reference of temperature for the day, but now we're fully flying by experience. So what I'm doing now is I'm looking at the color to see the development. First crack has ended, and I typically only want to roll about 20 seconds past first crack. Oddly enough, that didn't take me terribly a long time. So here's our coffee, and here's the coffee batch before it. So I think, oh, that's a little bit dark, I'll get rid of that. I would say that this is a fairly even between the two. Okay, so let's now get the other batch ready to go. Fahrenheit. I had a little bit of drop now. It's starting to come back. back and make another batch. Prepare the batch. Part of the thing you have to do when you're roasting is stay on top of it so that you can be as efficient as possible. Now today I'm not doing it, but one thing you want to do if you're working in a roasting facility is to wear a mask. Much like in a wood shop, there's a lot of coffee dust that comes from the grain. Now we'll take this and then put this in the roaster, get it ready to go. And now we're going to do one more, prepare another one. Now this gives us coffee in the roaster, coffee in the hopper, and then a backup once that finally loads. This just allows me to keep coffee in line so that we can keep, things rolling. My question is now I've got this trash can filled. How much more can I fill? I even have a regular bucket for us even. Okay, so now once you get rolling in a roasting and you're kind of in the zone, you kind of like, you just kind of cruise. Not cruise, but you don't have to be so like crazy about things. Oh yeah, did I say about the coffee? Coffee Cove, it is our house coffee. It says, I watched someone roast coffee in one of the air poppers, and I was surprised it didn't smell good. Oh, well, yeah, coffee roasting emissions don't necessarily smell great. Like if I'm not outside of a roaster, you can kind of, and the winds are blowing right, you can kind of smell it, and it's not terribly. Good Lord, it is blazing in here. Told you I'm just getting naked in this mother. I came in wearing 3 layers. This is craziness. Okay, so now you see I'm wearing suspenders in my pants. My pants are now too big, and I'm like not fitting in them well. It's terrible. My suspenders have come unclipped. Yeah, this losing weight thing has been quite an adventure. Okay. There was something I wanted to cover. Okay, so like I was saying before, the roast we start off with. So we get the coffee. We put it together. Wow, it is really. Here's the temperature gauge. When I fired up the roaster a little while ago this morning, it was 50 degrees in here. It is now 85 degrees. Oh my gosh. I could be in shorts in this mother, right? So, anyway, well, how are we? Okay, so we're not in the first crack yet. So the coffee goes in green. And there are certain waypoints that we're looking for, or you could think about. So you put the coffee in green, and what happens is the green coffee, let's say, is about somewhere between 10 to 11% moisture content. The first phase of the roasting process is to apply heat to the coffee, and we're driving out a lot of that moisture from the bean. Now you can kind of hear it cracking now. So we're driving the moisture from the bean, and that first phase is where the coffee is still green. And once we've driven up most of that moisture out, the coffee starts to yellow. And when the coffee starts to go from green to yellow, I like it to see it around 4 to 5 minutes. And then from there it starts to become yellow to a tan. It starts to give notes of hay. I really love that phase, straw and hay. That phase of the roast, the aromas coming from the coffee, I really love that for some reason. Now we're getting the first crack is really rolling. And so what the crack is that after that phase of tan, it starts to brown. That's when we start to getting some Maillard reaction, where the heat is now caramelizing the sugars. For this whole time, the coffee is what we call endothermic, so it's absorbing heat into it, right? It's absorbing heat. The crack is when it's absorbing as much heat as it could, and then pops. It expands and becomes exothermic. So it pops, and then it starts to contract and then heat again, and then second crack can come out of that. Now we are well into first crack. Now this is our espresso. So the espresso, like the regular coffee, let's say the house coffee, we want to go a little bit beyond first crack to get a little bit more development. Now we want to, the espresso, we want to take a bit further, just a little bit further, to get a little bit more sweetness to come out of it, a little more body, a little bit more development and bring it right to the edge of second crack, right? So we want to get to the edge of second crack, and then before it really starts to hit second crack, we want to drop, so that if some beans crack as they're coming out of the roaster, that's all right. That's looking fairly nice here. Okay, good. So now you can hear it just cracking, maybe a little bit longer than I was talking. This could be, oh, it's not bad. Maybe slightly on the dark side. I'm going to turn it around. We're going to drop, I think one of the things we need to do is we need to drop the application of the heat. So we're going to lower our start temperature a little bit. Our last start temperature was 426. Oh, that's all right. As you can hear, as it's coming out, it was fully cracking, so a little bit long on that. We'll have to put some of this in the espresso machine next week to see what it's like. Dropping the temperature down. I'll bring it down to 425 again. Okay, so we loaded in that. Put this in there. And then, oops. Now time to load up more. So it's always about just going back and forth, adding coffee. Great, we got in the hopper, and now we have it in our, we got it back up as well as in the hopper, in the roaster, and now in the cooling tray. Ooh, it's hot today, it's hot, it's hot. And does your roaster get rid of any chaff? So yeah, the roast, a lot of the chaff will be blown. So what's happening typically with chaff, right? Chaff is the silver skin that wraps around the bean, so you can't really see it. But let's see with coffee, with washed coffee, for example, right? The two beans are inside the husk of the cherry, and the beans are surrounded by mucilage. All of that is removed during the initial processing. That mucilage is removed, and there's actually something called parchment that encases the bean. And when you let your coffee rest, like in Central America, they let the coffees rest for like a month, and that's what they call. And you can get the coffee. It's what they call en pergamino, and pergamino is parchment, right? So it's encapsulated in this like parchment-like paper. Looks kind of like chaff, but a little bit thicker and full, and like a little. It's like a little like egg around it, right? But during the dry mill processing, they hauled that away, and it just left with this. But however, on here, there's actually like a silver skin that is still on the bean that becomes the chaff. And it's only during the heating phase in the roaster where that chaff starts to come off. Sometimes the chaff is difficult to manage. Like here's something. This is a bean that must have gotten stuck somewhere in the roaster away from the heat. So it's partially roasted, but it's just kind of stuck in the coffee. We try to pick those out. And now the coffee is also cooled, so we want to start evacuating it. Now, that silver skin, that chaff is typically as the bean now shrinks during the initial phases because of the heating, it separates from the bean and then typically it's blowing around inside the roaster. And if the roasting fan is good enough, it typically will blow it out. Usually we blow it into a chaff collector. So in this particular roaster, there is a chaff collector in the lower chamber of the roaster. So you do have to vacuum that out periodically. Otherwise, it will catch fire. I've had chaff fires. Like our roaster at Spro is a little bit different in that it has a chaff collector that is separate, a cyclone type of chaff collector, which works just as well as these. It's just you always want to clean them regularly because there is. It's not a question of if they will catch fire; it's more a question of when. And it's not even a question; it's just a fact of life. Right? So you have to be prepared, and you can't like lose your cool about it because you need to remain calm under the pressure of fire. Otherwise, it could get really bad and like totally go out of control. I've only had one really bad fire in my time doing it. It was 2018, just after we built the other roastery. Actually, the first month of operation in the new roastery back then, and I lit the roaster on fire. Like it exploded, and it was like I really thought it was going to burn the place down. Like I was like, oh my gosh, we just built this place, and now it's going to burn to the ground. I gotta tell you, the heat in here is fierce. Oh, the door keeps closing. The door keeps closing. See, the door keeps closing. The heat. So we've got the heat running from, of course, the wood fire, the wood stove. We got heat from the roaster. So I mean, really, if I took some coals, if I took some stones, some river stones, right? And I put them on top of here, and then I added water and closed the doors, I could have a sauna. We could have a nice sauna bath going on in this mother, right? So, kind of interesting. All right, we're 6 minutes into the roast. As you can see here, there is another roaster that Matt just got. We're trying to set that up. This is what's called the Royal Number 5, and it's a very different roaster in terms of style. This Royal Number 5 is about 100 years old, made in the 1920s, all cast iron, very simple construction comparatively. Like, there's similarities between these two because this is also cast iron and that's cast iron, but this has electronics and all this controls, and it's very like, it can be very finicky and like, it likes to flame out off and on. It's very, I don't know, I like Probats, right? But this one is just gas, a fan, rotation, and burners. And that's really it. It's very rudimentary. Like, it is the essence of roasting. And so you may have seen these in different coffee roasters as well as peanut factories. These are very big peanut roasters. And the interesting thing about these roasters is that while they have a steel drum, the steel drum has perforations in it. So the flame actually can impart flavor to the roast of the coffee. So we got it from this guy that is a little bit of a character and sold him this roaster, but didn't bring all the parts. If you're going to buy a roaster, my advice to you, buy new. Get service with it. Deal in the used market, there's all kinds of characters. If you're lucky, you don't have to deal too much with them. But if you're unlucky, you do. It's it's a terrible thing. All right, we're getting along here with the roast. Let me bring it a little bit closer so you can see a little bit more of what's going on here. So as you can see, it's still early on. We're not at first crack just yet. First crack is just starting. A wait period before brewing the coffee. So the wait period, we brewed the coffee the first batch was with this coffee. I have found on this live stream, I have found that if you roast your coffee, our general practices have been you roast today, you cup the samples of today's brew tomorrow, and you do your quality control based on that. On this live stream, quite a few months ago, we did just that. Maybe a year ago, we roasted the coffee, we tasted it immediately after roasting, and then we tasted it every day for the next week. It really has challenged my thoughts on quality control and when you're supposed to cup your roast. I found that the degradation to the flavor of the coffee 24 hours later was significant. And it was better to taste the coffee right out of the roaster than it was a day later. And then after that, a week later it would be fine. So if you're getting freshly roasted coffee, wait a week. Because it's unlikely you'll have the coffee straight out of the roaster. Okay, so we're past the first crack now, and we're rolling towards second crack. I'm going to turn the fan, the cooling tray on. Looking. Bring it right before second crack. So we're going to start again. Drop the temperature down a little bit more again. So now the coffee's cooling. What was I just asking a question about? Oh yeah, so that's the wait period. I would say that's the wait period you want to wait. So wait a week. If you know the roast date, wait at least a week, maybe 2 weeks. There used to be a time when people were like, oh, a month is too old. A month is not too old. A month is definitely not too old. Okay, so now we're good to go here. Starting the timer, and you can start the timer whenever you want. I tend to wait till all the coffee has fallen into the roaster before we start the time. You can start at the moment you open it. The moment you begin it is not necessarily critical. What is critical is that you're doing consistently, so that your ability to analyze the information you're catching can be evaluated. Is second crack happening? So in this last one that we just dropped in here, just slightly. Like I really don't want to go directly fully into second crack. I want to come right to the edge of the second crack. So the other batch, the first batch was a little bit too late. So and you can actually see a little bit of the color variation here. Right, this is definitely more along the dark chestnut that I prefer. That's a little bit more deeper in color. One of the perils of live streaming while you're doing things. Now we have to and then also prepare our next batch. Might have. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much all the roasting we got. Well, I've got more roasting to do, but that's pretty much the roasting of the roasting of the geese in W6A. Hope that helps and gives you some insight into what we're doing. But I'm gonna, do more roasting. So thanks again. Great to see all of you guys. Craig, good to see you, man. Hope things are well. And back again tomorrow with the coffee Q&A. So see you then.